So you wash the dishes. You can fill a sink and wash it in the sink, or you can wash it in this blue pan. If you do that, don't submerge the chalices. It's okay to get them wet on the outside, rinse them off, that sort of thing. But if you submerge them in the water tends to seep inside the handle, the shaft, what would you call that? The pedicle or whatever it is. But it tends to seep inside. Father Dan, I know, told me about when he had those that we have in there now, recovered, refinished. They took the bottom off of it. He said it was just black with mold and all kinds of stuff. And so that's what this little sign means. Please do not. Okay, stack bowls inside each other. And I think it also said, no, that's only about the stuff. Oh, this one is the one, about the recommended cleaning procedures. So don't put the entire thing in the solution. What I usually do, and everybody washes differently, I usually take one vessel, put a little bit of water in it, just a drop of soap. All it takes is a drop, just a drop of soap. I clean that, and then I take that water and I pour it into the next vessel, and with a little bit of running water, I usually run it hot, just about that much. You can rinse that off, several times, put it over here for somebody else to try. And then you take the one you just poured that in, wash it around the rim, pour it in the next one, let it sit while you're rinsing that one off. That's what I do. If you find it easier to fill this up, then that's fine. Now this sink is the sacrarium. I think everybody is familiar with that, I hope. That sink empties directly under the church. I've been told, I haven't been down there to look, but I've been told that it's right under the high altar, the old altar. And it's kind of a gravel pit. So the water goes in there and stays. And we only use this sink to pour precious blood or host in it. Well,
you never pour the precious blood in the sacrarium to consume it. But if we are purifying vessels, if we would purify vessels back here, we could pour the water from that down into the sacrarium onto the ground. Or if we have water that's used for, before the vessels are purified, for some reason we're using water, maybe, I don't know, we've got this example with the host, maybe that would be, I'm not sure where you're gonna, but in any event, we do not pour the precious blood down in the sacrarium, we consume it, okay?
Would you do that though if you had to clean up a spill?
Yeah, I would say like if you clean up a spill and you had that water, that no longer has the appearance of wine, so it's no longer the precious blood of Christ. So that we would pour down the sacrarium, yeah. Good point.
okay, so you never pour the precious blood down, but one example of a possible exception is if somebody, for example, gets sick and spits up in that, Jesus doesn't require you to drink somebody else's vomit. You know what I mean? But Father's absolutely right. You don't pour.
I mean, in a case like that, I would say get like a bowl of water or some water and then pour that in there to where it's dissolved, not to the point where it's no longer has the appearance of wine, and then pour it down the sacrarium. Yeah.
Now, this is the thing I told you about before. That was a host. It's all soggy now. See, it falls apart when I try to pick it up. See what I mean? It has lost really the characteristics of bread. And I don't know whether everybody can't get around the sink, but I just pour it in down there. And then that stuff is so soft and gooey, you can just push it down through there, like this, through the holes in the sink. And then a little bit more water washes it right down, and it's down there, okay? So that's how you would get rid of a host that if you drop it and you don't want to consume it, right?
Realistically, if I was doing that, I'd probably let it sit there a day or whatever too, just to get it better dissolved or whatever.
Okay.
There's no rush to pour it down the sacrarium,
Okay.
place is locked up, so, yeah.
Okay, Any questions? Has everybody signed the sign-in sheet? Because if you haven't, your name won't get sent in to the bishop.
I got
Just
him
a
on
couple
video.
things I'd like to say real quick. if you
Okay.
haven't.
Sure.
Just a couple things. First of all, the deacon or the priest should hand you the vessels from the altar when you go to distribute communion. You shouldn't pick up the paten or the chalice from the altar. It seems like, sometimes like the extraordinary minister is gonna go to the choir. I think they feel like, well, if I get a head start, I can get up to the choir. And it's a good thing that you wanna, get up there and bring communion to the choir and kind of expedite things. But you really should wait for me or for Deacon Steve or whoever the priest or the deacon is to hand you the paten. You shouldn't really just take it off the altar like that. And another thing I've been thinking about is, I'm thinking maybe see how things go at the PSR masses. We are allowed to not purify at mass, and then a priest or a deacon purify after the mass. Set the vessels unpurified on the table, but then right after mass, the priest would have to come up and purify them. Up until about 2005 or 2006, extraordinary ministers were allowed, had a special permission from the Vatican in the US to be able to purify vessels. However, that's no longer the case. So extraordinary ministers should not really be purifying vessels, only the priest or the deacon. So if we went to do that, because to keep things moving, especially like at the PSR Mass where we have to be finished by 5 after, I'm thinking that one option might be to leave the vessels unpurified, and then when I come, and I usually just go to the back and come right back around up, and then while the kids are being dismissed, I can purify the vessels at the credence table. So they wouldn't be able to add that long. But again, only a priest or deacon is really supposed to be doing that. I appreciate that people wanna help out and get things going, and you were allowed to do that up until about, going on 18, 19 years ago now, but it really shouldn't be. So I point that out, if I decide to do that I'll come back and purify the vessels, okay? That's about all I can think of. Any questions for Deacon Steve or myself or anybody? Okay.
Wait, there's a question.
If you're gonna be gone, don't you think Amber ought to be putting 5 ministers on the list every week instead of 4?
Yeah, you should.
I think I mentioned that to her, and so we'll
Oh.
bring that up again, but yeah. Right. Yeah, without Deacon Steve, we're always gonna need one more than what we've had in the past.
Yeah.
You won't find one as good looking as me, but. Okay, anything else?
No.
All right, thanks for this,
Thank
you
you.
guys.